Do you believe in ghosts?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Samhain.
Happy Samhain.
Coffee is hot. Too hot. Do you believe in ghosts? I'm asking you.
You asking me? That's a good question. I do. I believe in ghosts. I believe it's possible.
Have you ever seen any?
No.
Caleb, come eat your food. But you know my stories.
I know some of your stories. You should share them.
Oh, Caleb is talking. I think he's talking to the other cat there. Caleb. Maybe he's seeing a ghost.
I was just going to say, we brought up the topic and our oldest cat is now talking.
Well, do you know anybody that's seeing a ghost?
Yes, I'm sitting across from her.
You don't have any ghost stories? No?
I don't have any ghost stories.
Okay. Why do you think we're so... Most people are very excited about the idea of ghosts and having... a lot of people want to see them, you know. There are the ghost hunters, that people that go and to haunted houses and try to get a glimpse of it and all of that. And there's a fascination. Why do you think there is this fascination?
Well, I'm no...
Especially from people that never saw anything. Like, I want your perspective. Like, you never saw a ghost. You never had that experience. But why would you be interested? I know you're not really interested in the gory things, horror movies, none of that. But do you think it's interesting for you? And why do you think people that don't see it, never saw it, never had the experience, never felt the chills, never felt nothing about seeing a ghost, why are they excited? Why do they watch the movies, the horror movies or the ghost stories? Why this fascination?
Well, there are many layers to unpack in that question. There's not a simple answer. On one level, you know, and we've experienced in other people as well, that the thrill and the horror is an adrenaline rush for some people, and people are attracted to it very much like they're attracted to being on a heavy-duty roller coaster ride. It gives them both a psychological and physiological rush. But I think some of the deeper questions and considerations as to why people are drawn to these experiences and are intrigued by them can be found in the need to have a greater understanding of what exists on other levels of creation, of existence. And also we have, obviously, humans have always had an enormous fascination with what death truly represents, what happens.
Yes, exactly. I think there's that need of control, not to think you're completely aloof to it all, not to think that you don't have any control over death, over your own life, and trying to know more, trying to bring some knowledge into your life of afterlife, of anything like that. Gives people some
consolation, and it's an area of knowledge that people are drawn to. It's, you know, it fulfills the seeking that many people have, the drive to know more and to know better, and then of course because we all have people, whether it's family, friends, or pets, that have passed on, we feel the need to connect and reconnect for their sake and for ours. And you know better than I that there are, and maybe you'd want to elaborate on this, that there are theories and even perceptions that those on the other side are needing to connect for a variety of reasons with us for whatever purposes, sometimes to help us, sometimes to help them. And there is that whole other that realm as well of consideration as to why we're fascinated by these possibilities.
Yeah, because it's very devastating to lose a loved one, because you were still loving the loved one that's not there anymore. Your object of affection cannot return the love. It is not there, and you're giving the love. And where's this love going? And that makes people want to connect as well. It's a way of continuing the love. How can you love someone that you don't know where they went? You don't know what happened. It's gone, completely gone, no more. So it depends. There's many.
Well, it could be argued from also some perspectives that could equate to conditional love. That we know that we have all had the experience that love is more easily focused and reciprocated by those who are physically close to us. But is that a true requirement for experiencing love and for giving love?
No, but when there's death, it's a loss so big, because there's no way of really communicating. There is no way of really having that thing.
Yes, agreed.
For most people.
And I think an interesting question is, who is experiencing the greater loss? It could be argued
that could be us, but then we don't know. Nobody really knows 100% what happens after you die.
That's my point.
They don't come back and tell you completely. If someone tells you that they know, it's a lie. Nobody knows, not 100%.
I agree.
There is no coming back and telling anybody. But because it is something that one can claim to be a psychic and be talking to the dead and seeing the dead, and the other can't, it becomes a very easy way to take advantage of people.
That's very true.
Because someone, you're not seeing it, you're not hearing it, and someone else say they are, and they tell you everything you want to hear, everything you're there.
And
that's very dangerous.
And at a time when the client or the interested individual is probably most vulnerable.
Exactly. So I'd urge people to be careful of that, because the apparitions of ghosts and spirits are very rare. They're not all over the place like they want to make you believe.
And you brought up in a previous conversation that we've had here over coffee that many of these things could actually be recordings as opposed to actual things going on at the time.
Yes.
Impressions left in the ether that we are tapping into periodically. And is it something that is being thrust upon us, or is it more coincidental? Is it important? Not everything. This is more of an analogy, but that when the astronomers and the scientists are seeking signals from far reaches of the universe, there are many interesting signals out there that they can pick up, but not all of them are significant.
Exactly, and that I just remembered a little story. When I had a student, and I was teaching her scrying with a crystal ball, and the next day she came back to me saying that she had all this experience with her crystal ball. Her and her mother were looking at it, and they were seeing all these things, and they saw this person looking like so and so, and this thing that must be an animal that looks like so and so and so. And then she wanted me to tell her what it was. And then my first question was, what did you ask to see? What was your focus? What were you looking to see? Did you ask any questions? Were you thinking of something? Oh no, just look generally. Well, it can be anything. That was my answer. It can be anything. If you don't have a question, you don't have a focus, if you're not searching for anything, if you're not inviting someone in, it could be looking at any realm of existence. It could be anything. Past, present, future, other layers, other planets, other realms, other... It could be anything. Well, I could have done a reading and then I can, look down to see what it was. But, so you don't have a focus. You don't have something in mind. Anything can turn out. So it is good to know what you're looking for. And that's the same thing with omens. There's some people that will freak out of anything. Oh, a black bird flew by, or a black cat, or this or that, or they saw this color, or they saw this thing, or they saw that thing. They found this object, they found a feather, they found this means this means... Did you ask for an omen? Did you ask for it? Because if you don't ask for it, and everything that can happen to you may be an omen, that's a very confusing, crazy life you're gonna lead.
It can be.
You need a focus. You need to ask for it, and then if you asked for it, okay, then it came, okay, then it is. But not all the time, everything that's happening around you, even though there are synchronicities.
I was just going to say, there is great power in synchronicity. However, you can't sit back and just wait to see what is synchronizing in your life and then act that way. We have free will, we have, although that may be another topic for conversation, and we have lives to live. And if we are constantly looking for a signal, a symbol, an omen,
without asking for it,
anything
that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that means this. Oh, a blue bird flew by. Oh, that be my deceased father. Well, come on,
Maybe not, and it's like
right.
Yeah,
depends on the circumstance.
It's one thing about being open to these things generally in one's psychology. It's another thing to be specific with one's needs and desires. But regardless, we move forward and act because we're here. We're here to grow, and we're here to help ourselves grow. We're here to help others grow, and we just can't wait. We shouldn't be ignorant or blind to these possibilities that present themselves to us. But the significance of them should be kept in a measured way, because otherwise we're essentially waiting for the universe to provide us with direction. We sometimes forget, either because of cloudiness in our awareness, or stress, or fatigue, or because we just aren't open to it, that the universe is also inside of us, and so we can pick up the impulses of what is best to do by having the intention, having the desire, asking ourselves and the universe within us and around us the right questions, and then acting. The results are the proof. There's the old expression, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, or is in the eating. And could have been a Shakespearean quote, I don't recall. But the idea here is just very simply that it goes beyond if it feels good, do it. That's the old trap of the hippie generation, and then which I'm sort of was a part of, and then later very much adopted by the New Age community. There is value in that, but it isn't the driving force. We need to use discrimination and judgment and look at the results. How do we feel, and how is it impacting our environment and those around us? And then we go forward.
And remember that we're not just spirits, we're bodies as well. Some people like to say, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm a spirit having a physical experience or something," blah 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 blah, or the other way around or whatever. We're both to the same degree. We live in a world that is matter, that is made of matter. It's not all spiritual, so us the same, both. We have spirits, we have bodies, and we need to act with those both at the same level. Only spiritual stuff all the time won't do it, and only the physical stuff all the time won't do it. So we just need to balance both. Like some people believe they're going to fix everything with the spiritual world. You need both. We have bodies. We live here on planet Earth, on top of Gaia. We're right here. Helios is coming out. Now he went behind the clouds again. But, matter as well. Don't get too crazy with just the spirit. We're both. Both matters. Only when you get sick, you need to work both. You need to do stuff for your body and the spiritual stuff as well.
Yeah.
But it's both.
And it's a matter of emphasis. Very true. We live in a time of creation that is very dense, very physical. There are interesting theories and understanding that this is also a time when the spiritual is reinfusing itself into the material, into the density. And so that probably is why there is so much going on with interest in the more spiritual realms. Regardless, though, your point is really well made and really well taken. In all that we do, we live in the field of the physical world. We are connected with all the spiritual. The spiritual, by definition, at least the definition that I embrace, includes the matter, includes the material. However, we are acting in the field of relativity, in the field of change. And so while it is so important to anchor ourselves in the more, you could say, field of wholeness or the spiritual realm, that we are acting in that field of change. We can affect change. We are impacted by change. We can mitigate how much change is impacting on us. All these things are necessary, especially during these precarious times, and we stay anchored in that wholeness that is underlying it all.
Now I'm going to tell probably the first ghost story that happened to me. It's probably the first because I don't even remember it. My mother told me. So it was something like this. Many, many years ago. I was a young adult and we're cleaning the wardrobes, the top parts of the wardrobes at home. My mother just decided to get rid of stuff, which she always liked to do. if you let her or not. But anyway, and I thought, okay, I'll help because I wanted to see what was up there. I thought I had things, old things that belonged to me. Then we were doing that, and then we opened one part, we're on top of a ladder because it was very tall wardrobe. And then I was so surprised when I saw my dolls. There were 5 or 6 dolls that I remember playing with as a child that I loved. And there was one that even held a baby and you wind it behind her back and she would rock the baby in her arms and we would play a song. And she was in perfect condition. Those dolls were all in perfect condition. And they were, man, like over 20 years old, 25 years old. They were old. But they were not old because they were kept there in the closet. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's another one of those things from my mother. She didn't want me to hid my dolls. Why did she freaking hid my doll? That's a bit too much. He hide the dolls from the little girl.
Sure.
I was probably 3 years old then. And I remember this rocking doll was my godmother gave me at the time. I remember my birthday. I remember her giving it to me. And I was blown away by that doll. And then I said, well, why did you hide my dolls? And then she went to tell me this spectacular story. She said, well, you told me a couple times that you're very tired. Mommy, I'm very tired. I can't sleep at night. My dolls don't let me sleep. They walk and they talk. They make too much noise. I can't sleep. That freaked my mother out. So, and she thought, she told me, you were too little. You couldn't be lying because you're too little. You're too little. You'd always be such a, you're a little girl, little good girl. There's,
yeah, the innocence is there.
You're little. You're very convincing. You're telling the truth. So she got spooked, and she put my dolls on top of the wardrobe. And maybe that's why I create dolls now, right?
Yeah. Bring them back.
And I do have clients saying that my dolls are haunted. They do have spirits in them. I have had that happen. But I was a little shocked with that. I don't remember. I was too little. I do not remember something that went away from my mind. Sometimes we block things. I believe we block things, especially things that could be traumatizing or scary or spooky. Though I'm not a person that is afraid of things at all. But this is one of my earliest memory, I'd say, of ghosts. And what happens there? We talked a little bit about this the other day. In a spiritualist places, centers that were developed and created in the 1800s by Allan Kardec, these people believe that the spirits use some of the energy from themselves. They can get from nature, from energy, from electricity, and from other places, and some from us. It's a form of ectoplasm that they use. Now, mediums, people that are born mediums. Some people say now that you can study and become a medium. I don't have an experience with that. I don't know. Maybe it's true because we all have a spirit inside us as well. So of course that spirit can communicate with other spirits. It's not like we don't. So the possibility is there, probably for everybody to advance and be able to have more spiritual experiences. But when you're born a medium, there are different types of mediums as well. Different capabilities of hearing, of seeing, of tasting, of feeling the touch, and those with more of the energy to give more ectoplasm that can create physical objects from nothing that the ghosts, the spirits can use. But anyway, in this case, they would explain that the spirits use this energy. They get some from the person, and they get some of their own way of getting it, of collecting it, and then they put it on an object, and they aliven the object for a certain amount of time, and that object can move and do whatever they want it to do. It's not like they enter the object. Some people would imagine that the spirit goes in the object and make it. It's not alive. It's alivened. It has its own energy. It is moving around like tables and seances, Ouija board. Some believe it's that or not. It could be twitch of your finger. We talked about it the other day. But that could be what happened with the dolls. There were spirits there wanting to communicate. They saw that I'm a medium. And when you're little, you're not blocking anything. Your innocence is there. Everything's going, and you probably have a lot of it when you're small. And they used it. They're trying to communicate, probably. And moved around and talked and walked and didn't let me sleep. Can you believe that? I wasn't scared. I said, I can't sleep. They won't shut off. So that's a spooky story to hear from your little girl.
It is.
But I have had many experiences throughout my life, but not every day. And that's why I like to tell people that it's not occurring all the time. It needs certain circumstances to happen in order for it to be sensed. Maybe they are all over the place, like some believe. Maybe they are. But for you to see, to feel, to hear, and all of that, some things need to be in place. Even some believe that the spirit has to be some sort of a psychic to be able to communicate. You need a psychic in this world, and you need the psychic in the other world to make the connection. And sometimes they can go look for someone, another spirit in between them that knows how to connect, to be able to connect. So it is a strange thing and different. And they don't come back and tell the whole story. They don't. We do not have the whole story of what's going on after you die. We do not. I think it's almost impossible for them to come back. It's extremely rare. So beware of that. It's extremely rare. When you die, there's that school of thought that you have several layers in your soul, in your spirit. And one of them is the perispirit, they call it. And it looks just like you. And that one dissolves after you die. It dissolves. It stays around. It's lurking around for a little bit. And then it dissolves. The energy will go away because there's no body in it. There's nothing there to give it its energy. And it will dissipate. Some people believe it goes with the person that's died to the cemetery, and it's buried, and it's there with the dead body waiting to decompose. Sometimes it could shatter, and pieces of it could fly over the place. And they will go, if that happens, to what's more charming to them. They will go to familiars. They will go to the family. And I've learned once that in India, they have a ritual. It's one of the rituals during the cremation of the body that they do there. It's one of the rituals that they perform, a magical ritual to protect the family members, not to get these shards, these pieces of the perispirit of the person, because that will become something that's not healthy. It will be like a spiritual leech. It will suck energy out of the person. It can create a disease. It's not really the person itself, because the person went somewhere else. It's just a part of the spirit that unfortunately shattered, and there's this story. Andrew's making a face here. He doesn't know about this. This I don't know if he believes it, but
makes sense to me. Yeah.
I'm just telling it because I found it fascinating that there is this problem. And why do they wear white in the funerals? It is their belief there that white repels. So white repels these shards as well. It repels energies, while black attracts. And then we have the common thing here that a lot of people like to wear black, and they say because it protects them, it repels stuff. So does it or does it not? In Brazil, it's white too. You see the spiritualism, both of them people wearing white all the time. They do spiritual work. It's white and it's not black. I do like black though, but then there's my Saturn for you. So But and then do you have anything to say? Because I have more stories.
Well, it just brings up a point that it's a cautionary point, and that has to do with these areas as well as many areas connected with communication with other layers of existence, and that is that just because we may be able to have a connection with some, for lack of a better word, intelligence on another level, doesn't necessarily mean it's a completely benefic intelligence, because with the level that energy or entity or intelligence is at, may first point, it may not be complete. It may not have the whole story as well. Just because it has a different story or a different part of the story than we have doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing for us. It could be, but there are theories and beliefs that some of these energies, entities, intelligences, however you want to define them, are very much in need of our energy. So, again, just because it's from another level doesn't necessarily mean it's from a higher level.
No, exactly. And also, I remember you telling me that you told me this, that it's very rare to get a human body, to be reincarnated as a human.
Right. The human nervous system is considered to be unique in its ability to experience transcendence, to experience infinity. And this obviously needs to be cultured and cultivated over time. But because of that uniqueness, the amazing flexibility, these days they would say plasticity, of the brain and the nervous system, it has unique abilities to experience wholeness, like I was talking about earlier. And because of that, because it being truly unique, other beings, other entities crave it, need it, desire it, more importantly, need it. But the most effective way for them to grow is to incarnate into a human nervous system. Not yours, but in the natural progression of things. To the typical term, which could be confusing in this light, is to take a body. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean to take.
Oh, you reminded me of something.
Not to take an existing one, but
yeah.
But essentially to incarnate.
Yeah.
It's considered to be, again, extremely rare to make it to the human realm.
So congratulations, folks.
Yeah,
we got it.
Don't waste it. There's connected with this understanding, it is said to not reach the highest once one has attained a human body is like selling a diamond for the price of spinach.
Yeah.
Even these days, with organic spinach being expensive, it's still not a good deal.
I'd rather be a cat, though. I'm a black cat. No, but you just reminded me of this author. He wrote a book called, I think it's Immortality, Draja Mikaharek. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correct, so I apologize if I'm not. But he wrote many great books. He used to teach magic in New York. I hope he's still well and alive. This is a long time ago. But this supposedly fiction book that he wrote, it was about a person that would take bodies, that would live a full life and then learn how to enter another body right when he was dying and leaving his body. He wouldn't go where he needed to go. He just pushed the spirit out of someone's body and get it and go in and stay. And that way he stayed immortal. It is an excellent read. If anybody want to read, that's excellent. But I also, it also reminded me about something we talked before, very very briefly too, and another time, that there is that side of mediumship that you receive a spirit in your body, and you talk. You let the spirit talk through you. My great aunt Assunta and her husband Pedro used to do that. She was my grandfather's sister, and they did that every week. They did that all their lives, and they wanted to train me, and my mom said no, thanks, mom, for that at least. So no, but I don't crave that experience. I don't want the spirit inside me. I think it's very dangerous. I think they can get a hold of you. They can stay. There are stories about people that died and came back, and they were speaking another language. Some believe it was not the same person that came back. You see, they think they can. There could be cases that spirits wanted the body so bad that they went in. They went out, nobody was there. The person kind of died, so they went in and took over. That can happen, which is another good thing to do. Lots of protection work before you have a surgery, if they're gonna give you total anesthetics, because there's also a chance that someone else can come in. But it's not something for people to become neurotic about it, or very scared. It's rare as well. It's not all the time. But I have had, at least recently, a couple of experiences of spirits trying to come in. And it's always at night when you're most vulnerable, when you're sleeping, because your spirit tends to go astral traveling, tends to go do other stuff. And I fought it. I knew how to fight it. I don't know how I knew. I believe maybe I've been reincarnated other times with magic, with this sort of work that I do now. And it is as if another personality took over of myself and knew how to not let myself get possessed. That's the only way I know how to explain it, because it's as if I was watching myself. Part of my consciousness was watching my other consciousness to get rid of it. And they try to enter. The place they enter is behind your neck. That's the place. That's the entrance of the spirits, behind the neck. Probably having to do with the pineal gland there. That has a connection that goes all the way to the back of the neck. They say spirit, even our spirit, is not completely inside our body. There are those that believe that it's just just touching the back of our neck. We're not really in this body, just touching. So there's something about that area. And I pushed the spirit out. It was trying to come in, and it is a fight. And I remember thinking, no way in hell you're coming in. And I pushed it, and no, this is not happening. And it was a struggle. It took a little while. But it also was lucky that in both circumstances I had my Rudraksha beads on, from India. And they are the highest protection you can ever think of from spirit possession, in my opinion. It was right there over my my neck, and the first time too, it was less of a struggle, because I noticed that the spirit just saw it, and it was like, oh, okay, I will not be able to come in.
Now, this is the second time that that Rudraksha beads have come up during our conversations. So this is just rest assured that in the near future we'll be talking in greater detail about them.
Yeah, but you can get them. Do they sell them in the Indian stores?
Some, yeah. However, the best ways to acquire them, there's an importance that first of all, because demand has gone up and supply has gone down, there have been synthetic ones made which don't have the same vibratory quality. So you'd want to avoid those.
You probably can tell. It's not a seed.
Some
right?
can tell. I don't know if I could, but some could tell, and they can be tested. Some
You
people
see
in
it's
India.
a resin and it's not a seed.
Some of the vendors online in India will now send a certification of its authenticity. However, with all that said, some of the better ways to assure that you're getting what you need is to get them from sanctified in some way or energized in some way. Possibly, if you're in a larger city here in the Western world, to go to a Hindu temple or a Vedic center and see if they have them available, because they will typically include them in some kind of ritual blessings, or if they haven't, then they would for you, or to get them directly from the appropriate type of they call them pundits, or which essentially means learned one, from India. They can be acquired on eBay, and just look for something authentic. And many people, including you, Gina, can feel
I was
their
just saying
energy.
and I can feel the difference.
Yeah,
We've had different Rudraksha sent from different places in India, different pundits, different temple, different thing, and I could feel which one was stronger. The energy was like, oh, this is it. It's like similar to the Ganga water, the Ganges water, that will just, you feel like you're in the presence of the divine.
Yeah.
Something shifts in you get this calm and this sacred feeling. Something
and
sacred.
it's protective. It's highly protective.
Extremely protective.
There's also, in the Vedic terminology and Vedic understanding, there is this whole realm of protection, whether it has to do with individual protection or creating protection around a house, a country, the world. There's a term in Sanskrit called kavach, typically spelled Kavatch, and because of that name and that term, there is also an item that, or items, variations of them that are made that can be worn either around the neck as a necklace, or a pendant rather, or sometimes in a bracelet form, but whatever, that have protective qualities that would fall into this category of kavach. The most powerful ones, the most authentic ones, not only have particular symbols on them that are considered together to be highly protective, but also have, and this represents some greater expense, they have pure forms of gems that are associated with the respective planets, so that you're getting the support and protection and harmony with the energies of the planets. So there's a whole other realm, the idea of kavach, or protective devices.
There's the red thread too.
Yeah, the red thread.
Women wear on the left wrist and men on the right wrist.
Yeah, and
they blast the red thread and you can put it on.
We'll have to look up the name for that one, or I'll ask a pundit friend. There is a particular name for that, and that's a very inexpensive way to go, and more available, especially if you are close to a temple, a Hindu temple.
It's a red and with some tint of yellow in the middle of the thread.
Usually intertwined, and I believe these are connected with the Shiva qualities, the Shiva energies, and just can be highly protective, and are typically blessed or sanctified or energized during specific kinds of Vedic rituals or yagyas that are meant to be creating a very specific protective and positive enhancing quality.
And there's a thing about red, the red color being very protective. Maybe red blood, life.
Yeah, and maybe harmony with Mars. A lot of possibilities.
It was used a lot in my family. Anything that needed to be bound or wrapped or done. If it was fabric, if it was yarn, if it was anything, little cord, it was red. Everything was always red. Didn't matter what for. It was red. Red was used the most. And even my aunt, my fortune teller aunt Elsa, always said, you have to have a red ring. Fortune teller has to wear a red ring. Maybe that's my fascination with rubies. And but it was something I wanted to say too, that when we talked about spirits not being that nice, you don't know. And this this goes back to many old grimoire, many old magical books, many different paths, that when they called upon the spirits, they had all these questions just to make sure that the spirit was the spirit they want to talk to, and not someone else. Many stories, many people. And I learned through my experience and with my family knowledge and all of that, that when you start becoming a clairvoyant, which I do have a recipe for that. I'll put on the link. I can only ship things in, the end of November or so. But there's just actually a way. People start becoming clairvoyants. They start seeing some little lights. And that's how the spirit is going to show in front of you. You start seeing little lights, little specks of lights. And then those lights will form after a little while, something up in the air. They're always floating. They're not standing up like you are, and they're above, because it is even thought that the spiritual realm where these spirits, you're gonna see them. It's here in this planet. It's right here with us, but it's one layer above us. So they float. Though there are those from the underworld, they're underground. There's that too. Whatever you want to believe. But anyway, maybe they're two different things. They're floating, but there's these little lights in the air, and they're flickering. They flicker bright light. That's when you know. That's what I learned. If the light is bright hues, pastel colors, bright blue. I see a lot of bright blue. It's the way I see energy. I see a lot of blue. It's always a very bright. It's not indigo. It's not dark. It's like the sky when it's very, very blue. It reminds me of the skies in Brazil. It's just this very, very blue color that I see all the time. What was it? There was a very famous witch that used to say, Alexander's used to say that natural born witches see energy as in blue color. In blue color. I remember reading that, and I was like, oh, well, I do see a lot of blue color. And this blue light will flicker and turn into someone, and then you can hear some communication, you can see. Now, pay attention to the lights. If you're starting to become clairvoyant, if you already are, if you see the little lights, it should be a bright, pleasant color. Dark color would mean it's a darker spirit. It's something not so beneficial to be talking to. And also, they will try to fool you. They will try to put the bright colors up, white and blue and orange, all those yellow, but they cannot hold the high energy too long. They cannot hold it. So they will turn a darker color if you pay attention long enough. So there's that. There's a tip here.
Very practical.
Yeah.
Good to be safe, good to be thorough, good to be awake to these things.
Yes. A lot of people want contact. They want to have these experiences. And the more experiences you have, the better you get at it. We're all capable of being psychics. We're all capable of spiritual communication and all that, because we have spirit inside of us. That's how I see it. So we're all capable of that. Some people are born more capable than others. It could be a DNA thing too. It has to be a DNA if it's everybody in the family is like that. It normally is. When someone is, it normally came from someone else in the family. It might skip a generation. Sometimes it does. It's common to skip a generation. But you can develop the more you're into the spiritual knowledge and world, and trying to connect. Ask the old gods to help you, and you can get there. And but just be aware that it's not, don't go crazy about it. Some people just expect too much, and some people think it, you communicate every day and you're going to see a lot of spirits all the time. There are special occasions when that happen. There's a very cool way of thinking about it that Josephine McCarthy talks in her books, and there's this, the way she has researched and found out that when we die, when a person dies, this person goes, the spirit goes to this place where there's a lake, and then this person is very thirsty, and then there's the lake. I learned in my family that you're not supposed to drink that water. If you drink that water, you will forget who you are when you reincarnate again. Everything will take it away from you. You're going to forget. So don't drink it. If you're too thirsty, just wash your face. But then you come back with another face, which is fine. But you're going to be extremely thirsty. So that's how the story goes. And then, right at the lake, there's a bridge. And there are angels on that bridge. Now remember, angels predate Christianity. So don't freak out like, oh, this is too Catholic, this is too Christian. Angels predate. They predate Christianity. It is something else. It's not. Don't be, don't hold them against you. Against, how do you say?
Against you, yeah. Don't against your beliefs.
Against your beliefs, because there's more to them than you can think. And they guard the place because only they know who can come in and who they're guarding from people coming in and out. And they will help you get to that bridge, because once you get that bridge, you're going to where you're supposed to go. And sometimes they will even look like your loved ones, so you trust them and you go with them, because the thing is to get you to go. Because remember, this is not a place for the dead here where we are. This is a place for the living. This is not for the dead. We live here. They're not supposed to be here. It's against the natural law for dead people to stick around. It's normal. That's why it's so rare. It's not all the time. And they're not supposed to be here, if you think about it. They're not supposed to be here. And then you go through the bridge, and then through the bridge there's a mountain that you climb. And that mountain, you drop. Parts of you drop. Old beliefs, and a bunch of things that don't concern anymore. Drop. You forget things. You start forgetting things. Things start go away, until you get to the top of the mountain, and there you lay down and you rest. And they say that the angels, it gives me goosebumps when I talk about this. They say that the angels sing songs of humanity while you sleep, so you remember to reincarnate again as a human being, which I find very beautiful. And when my father died, and I'm not going to get into that because it's another story on its own, but I was a teenager and hadn't seen him for many months because I was a Rotary exchange student at the time in Alaska, and I came back home because he was very sick, he wouldn't survive. So the night I got home, I arrived back in Brazil. It was the day I arrived there, it was the funeral. In Brazil they don't wait to embalm anybody. Nobody's embalmed. You bury the person the next day. It has to be during the day. You just bury them right away. So at night when I was going to sleep, and I had just laid down and covered myself with the blanket, I felt this hug. It was an energy hug. It was not human. But it felt like a hug because it embraced me. There was that pressure from the energy. And then I smelled my father. So, he was there. Before he left, they might stick around a little bit before they go. But the correlation here, what I want to talk about, the mountain, was that after that experience, he would come to me in dreams. I would be dreaming, and then he pops in. He calls me on the phone in his dreams. I pick up a phone, and then I'm saying, "Oh, I know why you called. It's my sister's birthday. You called to say happy birthday to her. Okay. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah." And then I tell him stories. I know why he's communicating with me, but his mouth doesn't move. He doesn't talk. The dad don't talk. I want you to remember this. This is very important. Nobody knows this. Most people don't. The dad do not talk. They don't have a throat. They don't have all it takes for the voice to come out. They do not talk. That's why they need mediums and go inside them to be able to talk. They do not talk. So there you have it. But they communicate telepathically. It's in your brain. You'll hear. You'll know what it is. So the last dream I had of my father, maybe a couple months after he passed away, he was on top of a mountain, I think, because I could only see the sky behind him. And it was all blue, and there were some clouds. And I said, "Oh, you came to say goodbye." And he smiled. And I smiled back, and I said goodbye, and he walked away. He also delivered me a message that was, a private message at the time, but he left. And once I learned this, that Josephine McCarty's research and her books, and she talked about this going up the mountain, and then from the mountain, you hold on to everything, and then when you're top of the mountain, everything goes. You forget. You're made to forget everything, and then you go to sleep. So this is emotional for me. I'll try not to be too emotional here. But my father waited for the last minute on top of the mountain. He brought me with him to the last moment that he could remember. I was his last remembrance. I'm gonna cry. This is bad. I was his last thought as he went his way. So this is. I apologize. I am Italian after all, so I like some drama, but that it was very special thinking about it. And this is almost 35 years ago. So. And it still hits me this way. But, and then Josephine McCarty, she has a course that's free for everybody. It's called Quarea, QUAREIA.com. And you can also buy her books if you want. And she teaches magic. It's very fascinating, what she does. And I highly... I think if you're interested. But anyway, she also talks about this moment of death. That when a person dies, the spirit is in a state that, and in a place that the past, present, and future are all happening at once. It is all happening right there and then. And because of that, the spirit is able to look in the past, to look in the future, and the spirit is able to see in the future if a family member needs their presence or something, if there's something they can do, or they feel attracted to those moments. If there's some moments of distress that they want to go there, they can go. And then in your life, you may see, you may sense, you may experience, you may talk to that loved one that could have passed away many years ago. But it doesn't mean he's here right now. He is, but it was for him, the here now was the time when he died. You see what I mean? He's already probably reincarnated, gone somewhere else. But for you, it feels like it's the here right now. So that's very special too. So yes, you can be still seeing your loved ones, but that doesn't mean they're here. They're here in their past. That makes any sense at all. But that's something interesting to remember, to think about.
Good points.
Yay. Spirit. Oh man, there's just so much to talk about. We could keep going on and on forever. This is over an hour now. So, but yeah, there are spirits out there. There's some good ones. There's some bad ones. There's some. Oh, something. Remember when I said that the perispirit can stay behind, and then it disintegrates? It does, unless it finds out it can survive on other people's energies. So this happens a lot. And and they'll suck energy out of people to stay alive. So these are the ones we need to be worried about. And maybe these are the ones that some people call the shades. Maybe. Because you see a black thing pass by. It is a shadow. It's a, it can be maybe they're just the paraspirits. So they are very functional. In a way, they're very good for witches that can call spirits in and ask them things. And even mediums too. You can call and ask, oh, someone comes to you and the husband died and they need to know where the papers are, where this is, they can't find it. And then if the spirit is still there and can respond, it can come in and tell you. The person's spirit is already gone somewhere else, but that part of the spirit is still disintegrating slowly and can come in and tell you the story, tell you what it is. But that perispirit only has conscience of its own, sort of, only knows what the person knew until they died. They don't know ahead of it. They just know up to that point because they didn't go. They didn't go to the bridge and go. They just stay here to disintegrate, which is a weird thing. Maybe you'd be better to be cremating everybody, because then it just goes and then it's not staying around, because they tend to stick with the dead body. But there are these spirits that are dangerous, can suck energy out of you. There's a lot of spiritual work you can do. There's a lot of cleansing you can do. Robert Graves has written many books on how you feel your spirit inside your body. How can you use the spirit to heal, to do certain things, how to get rid of spirit attachments, leeches, parasites, astral junk. There's many names for them, and a lot of people suffer from this kind of thing and they don't even know. So we see very little in this world. Our range of sight, it's very small. It's very small. There's things happening in front of our eyes that we don't see. We're not very evolved as we think we are. So there's a lot more to the story then. But nobody needs to be freaking out, Just keep yourself, be a good person. Because like attracts like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all this latter part suggests the value of not welcoming, not creating a welcoming environment for these entities that are meant to be moving on. This is, as Gina just said, the earth is not the place for the dead.
Yeah, it's something that's sad to say. A lot of people disagree with that because they want that connection. But this is not the place for the dead. And if you go back at the Hellenistic times and also the Renaissance and all those times of spirituality and all of that, but in very, very old times, they wanted the spirit of the dead gone. They don't want them coming back, because that didn't mean a good thing at all. It's where the trick or treat has upgraded itself to what it is now, because people left food out for the dead so they wouldn't come in the house. Nobody wanted the dead in the house. Nobody wanted the dead anywhere. Even the gods, they didn't want them around because it's too much energy, it's too much power. You don't want them meddling on your life. You give them offerings to get them out of your way and not in your way. It was like that. They didn't want, and then all of a sudden everybody wants this. Everybody that are into magic want contact with the gods and of the spirits and of this, of that. And be careful. This is stuff that back in our history, we did not want them. Because it's not 100% safe. Especially if you don't have a spiritual connection, if you're not more spiritually advanced in a way that you can see spirits or hear
and know how to protect,
because you'll be working in the dark like a blind person,
just stumbling around in the dark room.
Yeah. And
oh, what did I just bump into? Must be something precious. Maybe not.
And not to, yeah, so there's a lot. But of course there's the sorcerers and other people that will work with these energies, but there are ways of doing so in a way that you're safe. Not saying not to do it, because I do it. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not. I love this. I love the darkness of it all. I want to do more and more. I'm not staying away from none of this, but I just wanted to bring in a little bit of knowledge, so you know that it's not all roses. It's not. It is a predatory world also in the spiritual world, not just here on the physical world, but over there it is also predatory over there. So it's just as bad, if not worse. So you need to be careful, especially if you don't have a spiritual feeling for things that you can develop with time. And I have a way of doing it too that I can provide. I have a recipe. So anywho, I hope you enjoyed our talk.
Special extended Halloween Samhain version.
Oh man, and I have so many more stories. Oh man, there's too many to talk about them in one day. We have fun. It's Samhain. It's that time when Persephone goes to the underworld to Hades, and Hecate is known to be holding her hand all the way down there. It's a beautiful thing. So leave some food for the dead ones. Make some offerings so they don't come in. You don't want them in. Have fun. Anyway, have fun. This is an awesome time. I love this time of the year. And the veil is thinner. There are a lot of people that don't like to talk about the veil. They think it's bullshit, but it's not. Believe me, it is. There is a greater possibility of spiritual communication and seeing and hearing and touching and feeling and smelling and all of that now through November, middle November as well. Because remember, the Gregorian calendar has changed things around. So Halloween, Samhain really would be around November as well. So it's all this month-long thing. And have fun. I'll stop talking now because I can't talk forever.
and the coffee has been drained.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening. This was Coffee of the Josephs and the special extended version of our spooky week, especially for today, Halloween and Samhain. Have fun. Eat some candy.
Be safe. Watch out for the candy corn.
Bye-bye. Have fun. Be well. Be safe. Kisses. Bye.